710 ESPN. This is Lakers Talk with Allen Sliwa.
That's it in Phoenix. Suns 99, Lakers 90. Phoenix takes a one-game-to-none advantage.
The road to banner number 18 rolls on for the Lake Show, but they're going to have to make some adjustments in Game 2.
There's some holes right now with the Lakers that this is part of a 7-game set. You could fix some of those by the time you come back on Tuesday.
AD has some struggles in Game 1, but he knows he has to turn it up in Game 2.
Like I say, it's on me. I'm not too worried about my performance. I know I'll be better. I know we'll be better in the Game 2 as well.
Nobody covers the Lakers playoff push better than Allen Sliwa on Lakers Talk.
The Lakers will try and regroup and win it on Tuesday night.
Now, here's Allen Sliwa.
Round two, Laker fans. Round two. My apologies here. Had a couple technical difficulties. We're back. Internet as good as it could possibly be. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. So, Lakers talk tonight. This is coming off the loss that the Lakers had, obviously, yesterday against the Phoenix Suns. The game coming up tomorrow, Lakers and Phoenix, Game 2. So we got a lot to get into. Just finished Lakers talk on 710 ESPN. Quick little plug here. Lakers talk on the ESPN app or on iTunes. If you want the full 2 hours, obviously just search Lakers Talk with Allen Sliwa. You get the full 2 hours, and now we'll do the social show. So you guys can see the first topic right there. Are you worried after Game 1? How concerned are you about the Lakers? What kind of trouble are the Lakers in tomorrow? We kind of go down the long laundry list of worried, concerned, all that stuff. I'll give you guys my opinion, and then I'll read some of your guys' posts here. So let me kind of start off by saying this. Give Phoenix credit yesterday, even with Chris Paul being out for kind of in and out of the lineup and really a non-factor yesterday. Suns delivered. Phoenix won an incredibly important game for the Phoenix Suns in Game 1. And, how'd they do it? DeAndre Ayton was the best big man on the floor. We'll talk about Anthony Davis in a little bit. Devin Booker, 34 points. This is the first time either of those players have ever been a playoff game, and they both look like they've been vets, right? They both look like they've been in the league for 10 years and have had plenty of experience in the playoffs. Phoenix took advantage of the Lakers missing 11 free throws. Awful from the three-point line. No real true help from the role players. And Anthony Davis having as bad of a game as you possibly can have from one of your superstars. So with all that in the mix, Lakers lose to the Phoenix Suns. Suns take Game 1. So let's look at Game 2. From an expectations perspective, how do you think things play out tomorrow? Got to be honest. I'm not overly concerned after that loss yesterday. Okay? I'm just not. Phoenix did a lot of good things. Lakers did a lot of awful things, and that led to a loss where you could say midway through the fourth quarter or so, Lakers were still kind of had a chance in that game. KCP missed a couple big opportunities, big three-point opportunities that if he hits that shot, maybe that kind of changes the scope. But the bottom line is Lakers didn't deserve to win yesterday's game, but I'm not that concerned after Game 1. And I actually think there's an incredible opportunity in front of the Lakers in Game 2. I spent a lot of time on this on Lakers Talk, so I'm going to do it right now too when I did on the radio show. Laker fans, and for those who are tuned in right now, you're accustomed to championship basketball. Laker fans are more spoiled than arguably any fan base in all of sports of what it is to win championships, get to the finals, to put up another banner. What was it, a week ago that the Lakers just put up another banner at Staples Center? Laker fans understand what I'm talking about. Championship teams, you know what they typically do? They respond after losses. 24 hours ago, for the last 24 hours, all anybody's been talking about is how the Lakers struggled. Is this going to be a bigger issue? Is the team going to have chemistry? Where's Anthony Davis? Why is the coach making these rotations? Everything you could possibly think about on a national basis, a local basis. Championship teams, typically, This is from my experience of watching Lakers basketball in the past or just watching other teams in other sports. Usually when the noise is loudest against them, they typically shut everybody else up in that next game. So we're going to find out a lot about this Lakers team tomorrow. I really believe so. I think we're going to find out a ton about this Lakers team. But I think we also already have an idea of who the Lakers are, who LeBron James and Anthony Davis are, and that this is obviously a team already coming off an NBA championship. Now, it's one thing for me to say it. It all just kind of is predicated on what happens tomorrow. But tomorrow that's a big one tomorrow. That's a critical game tomorrow. To go down 0-2, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that the Phoenix Suns are the Showtime Lakers or the Celtics back in the 80s or the Bad Boy Pistons or the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. I'm not telling you that that's, this is an unbelievable roster. But to go down 0-2 when you've already kind of been struggling over the last 30 days or so, you haven't been healthy. Now you got to win 4 of your last 5 games to just get to the second round. That's a challenge. I'm not saying that it can't get done, but it's certainly a humongous challenge. So I think the Lakers are going to treat Game 2 tomorrow in Phoenix as if it's the most important game in the series. I also think the Lakers are going to try to shut everybody up, including people like me who have been saying, like, hey, what just happened here? You struggled against the Warriors. You struggled against the Phoenix Suns, and you lost that game. You were a possession away from potentially losing to Golden State back on Wednesday. This is the type of game that I think you really, really quiet down your critics. And if the Lakers are the team that we expect and that we think, tomorrow would be that opportunity to quiet down your critics. We'll see what the Lakers end up doing. I will say Game 1 was incredibly important for the Phoenix Suns. It's the first playoff game they've had in 11 years. The place was buzzing, 11,000 fans. Here they are, the second best record in the NBA. Can you imagine how devastating that would be for the Suns to lose Game 1 after this whole setup? Okay, now it's the Lakers' turn to kind of respond or to come back to Staples Center. I'm not telling you it's got to be a perfect game. I'm not telling you that everybody's got to play perfect. You just got to find a way to win. I mean, even in the playoffs, they don't have to be pretty. You just got to walk back into Staples Center on Thursday night with the series tied 1 apiece with the next 2 games at Staples. That's the concept. That's the belief. That's the hope. That's the confidence people have in this Lakers team. I think most people. But it's one thing for me to say it. It's a whole other thing obviously for the Lakers to deliver. So we're going to have to obviously wait on that. And that's the best way that I could describe my expectations for tomorrow. My expectations are Lakers will not have as bad of a game that they had in Game 1, and they'll start freaking clicking. Now, if I'm wrong, then Lakers are in some trouble, and maybe they're not a championship team. I won't say the series is over, obviously, but I would expect the Lakers to split the series in Phoenix. We'll see what happens. Okay, let's see what we got here. Let me read off a couple of these comments here. B. Scritz on YouTube. Don't go out like Miami did. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Miami, what was the final score? I just want to see what the final score was. I know they were down big in the first half, 132-98. So Miami lost by 34 points. Yes, don't go out like Miami did. By the way, I thought that was going to be a good series. Game 1 was a good series. Game 2 was awful. Let's see what else we have here. Ella Funk on YouTube. It's going to be 5 like last year, as in it's going to be 5 games like last year. So I don't like to be honest with you, I'm not crazy about making the comparisons about last season. Last season was so different. Circumstances were different. Competition was different. Playing in virtually a hotel ballroom, like all those things were so different. It's tough to make comparisons to last year. And I know the Lakers lost Game 1 against the Rockets. They lost Game 1 against the Blazers. I don't want to make that comparison. And Phoenix is a pretty decent team. So I don't know if I'll make that comparison. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Rudy Banks on Periscope. We missed a lot of open shots. We hit a few of those shots, and we probably win the game. Lakers did not deserve to win yesterday, so let me be clear about that. I don't want to make it sound like they deserve to win or anything like that. Anaket, don't jinx it, Sliwa. I have been known every once in a while to jinx things, so we'll see what happens. We'll see if that's actually real or not. Let's see what else we got here. Alvin Thomas Jr. will be fine. Lakers in 5. Okay. Let me just kind of put a close to this, and then we could go on. Appreciate, by the way, the shout-outs on the Wi-Fi. Listen. I don't know about you guys, but when there were comments about the Wi-Fi, I went straight to the top at ESPN. Straight to the top. I didn't mess around. And I said, we got to get better Wi-Fi. Because I do a Lakers streaming show around 9:15 on Monday nights. Drop what you're doing. Don't worry about SportsCenter. Don't worry about First Take and all those other shows. I got a show going on here, 9:15 at night on Mondays. Let's get the Wi-Fi going. So appreciate the Wi-Fi shout-outs. None of that happened, by the way. None of that happened. Okay, let me read off one more here, and then we're going to get into the next topic. Dino Evans, the Lakers know what's at stake. We have to make our shots, Don Camarillo. We got to make our free throws. Can't miss free throws. Japan parts master. So we got a lot of Laker fans, I think, on the same page on this one. Okay, let me go into the next topic real quick. Okay, so we got to keep things moving. I got a show in the morning. What do you guys think? I'm just hanging out here. By the way, tomorrow morning, Travis and Sliwa show, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So we'll kind of continue this conversation tomorrow. So this is what I think this series is going to come down to, Laker fans. And by the way, I never thought this was the conversation I thought we were going to be having in this series. But this could be the difference of the series. Laker fans, this series could come down to the battle of the bigs. DeAndre Ayton versus Anthony Davis. Ayton versus AD. So there has been a lot of discussion about Anthony Davis these last 24 hours plus. And there's going to continue to be that conversation until we get to 7 o'clock tip-off tomorrow. Everybody's going to be talking about AD. And, to be honest with you, that should be the conversation. We should be talking about what's going on with AD. How come AD's not playing well? But I want to kind of take it a step further here. Battle of the big men. If this is if that was round 1 yesterday of the battle of the big men, there was no competition. DeAndre Ayton, I'm going to read off both of their box scores here, okay? Ayton yesterday, stats for game 1, 21 points, 16 rebounds, 10 of 11 from the field, plus 16 in the plus-minus 37 minutes, okay? Anthony Davis, 13.7 rebounds. So AD, 8 less points, 9 less rebounds. He did have 3 blocked shots. Give him credit there. He was 5 of 16 from the field. Ayton was 10 of 11. Minus 18 in the plus-minus. 39 minutes for Anthony Davis. Lake fans, I want to kind of make this very, very simple. We have certain expectations for Anthony Davis, not because we're bored and we just feel like, hey, let's put a lot of pressure on one player. It's because AD is freaking the man. We know how good he is. We know how unbelievable he is. We know that he was a big piece of the Lakers winning championship number 17. We all know that. So there's no question about that. You have certain expectations for certain players. LeBron and Anthony Davis obviously have different expectations. We expect something different from them than we do of Caruso and KCP and Dennis Schroeder and some of these other role players. Anthony Davis yesterday got outplayed. Depended way too much on the jumpers. Didn't take advantage of when smaller guys like Dre Crowder were guarding him. Has taken 9 free throws in the last 2 games. Wasn't aggressive enough. Didn't kind of put his foot down and say, what is this, Ayton on the other side, his first playoff game. Let's not talk about big men. I'm Anthony Davis. Ayton had 3 fouls in the first half. they didn't go after him and attack him in the second half, try to get his fourth foul in the third quarter, anything like that. AD had a bad game. But I want to kind of make something clear here because everybody keeps talking about AD for game number 2. They keep saying, well, and I'll be the first one to tell you this. I've done the post-game show the last 2 years, every post-game show. I've seen Anthony Davis in the purple and gold where he has a bad game. He comes into the post-game interviews and he says, that's on me. That's my bad. And he did that yesterday. And then I've seen him also the next game come back and shut everybody up and have a 35 points and a 14 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 steals. We've seen that from Anthony Davis. But this is the point I want to make on AD. This is not about game 2. This is not about the next game for Anthony Davis. This is about the series for Anthony Davis. The game that he had in game 1, let's hope that's an outlier. Let's hope that that's not another game Anthony Davis has the rest of the series. Because here's the reality. Lakers don't have this luxury of Anthony Davis losing battles to DeAndre Ayton. The backcourt is the advantage of the Phoenix Suns, Chris Paul and Devin Booker. That's the advantage that they have over the Lakers. They can't have the backcourt be the advantage. And on top of that, DeAndre Ayton, even if AD and DeAndre Ayton are playing at the same level, the Suns take that as a win. They take that as a victory because the backcourt is really where they're supposed to stand out. Devin Booker is so good. Chris Paul is obviously one of the best to ever do it at his position. So it's not about game 2 for Anthony Davis. It's about the rest of the series for Anthony Davis. You got to show up. You got to be smarter with your shot selection. You got to be more aggressive from, right out the gate. You got to get to the free throw line more. You have to be the biggest advantage that the Lakers have over the Phoenix Suns if you're going to beat the Phoenix Suns. I know that kind of sounds crazy, but that's the reality. All AD's got to do is just be Anthony Davis, and now that's such a big advantage from the center position or from a big's perspective that now the series kind of will start tilting again towards the Lakers. But after game 1, we know what AD did. The point that I'm making is this cannot just be about bounce back for game 2. This has got to be AD. This is what you got to do the rest of the series. And I could, say that all I want. At the end of the day, either AD is going to be the best big man the rest of the series, or we're going to have a battle of the big men like I'm talking about. And DeAndre Ayton, if Ayton and Anthony Davis are in the same conversation this series, there's a very good chance Lakers are not going to win the series. But if Anthony Davis controls that matchup and is by far the best player between those two guys, we're back in business. I don't have the answer. I'm just giving you my opinion. Okay. Let's see what Laker fans got here. Got people saying AD needs to post up, stop shooting jumpers. Okay, let's see what else we got here. I'm going to save some of those comments for when we get to the role players. Intel Wild, very consistent, refuses to be part of the roll call because of yesterday's loss. Again, as he writes that entire sentence, all he has to do is just tell me where he's tuning in from. Let's see what else we got here. Trying to see here. We deserve to lose the last game, but if Anthony Davis scores 20 and we make 5 to 6 more free throws, we win the game. That's a lot of ifs, my man. That's not how the world works. That's not how basketball works. This is a good one. Phil413 on YouTube. Allen, it shouldn't take a loss for AD to play good. Travis and I were doing the show this morning. That was the point Travis kept making. He's like, I get you're going to wake up for game 2. I get you'll probably come back and have one of your 30-plus points, 14-plus rebounds. I get that. Travis's point is, why is it taking game 1 for you to do that? Why wouldn't you just come out right out the gate, and that's the way you kind of set the tone in the series? I cannot argue that one. I won't argue that one. All right, Jed on YouTube. AD will bounce back. I think he will too, by the way. We got 30 points, 15 rebounds from Anthony Davis, Angelo Laxon on YouTube. AD should stop acting like KD and get to the rim more. Can't argue that one. I got people saying too that that game that Devin Booker had and DeAndre Ayton had, those were outliers. That's not going to be. They're not going to have games like that again, or if they do, it's not going to come every game. You might be right, and I think there's something to that. I don't think Lakers are going to make their adjustments. I don't think Booker's dropping 34 tomorrow. He might. I mean, Booker, dude's a baller. I mean, he doesn't need much space to kind of get going. Very creative with the ball, can get to the basket, can hit jumpers. So there's certainly things that, that Devin Booker can do. A little water. There's certainly things that Devin Booker can do that he could be consistent. The 8-1 is the one that's the key. Ayton can't have a game that dominant on a consistent basis. He should not be in the same level as Anthony Davis. He put up AD type of numbers yesterday. 10 of 11 from the field, 16 rebounds. Give him credit. Okay, they took game 1. What do you guys do in game 2? Okay, a couple more here. By the way, let's get roll call started because I got so many of these freaking comments to read. Tell me where you're tuning in from. If this is the first time you've ever been on the streaming show, roll call is very simple. What city are you tuning in from? I'll give you guys a shout out. That's basically how that works. Let me read off a couple more of these as the roll call starts coming in. Rez on YouTube, just need free throws and better efficiency from AD. Allen, I think next game we're important to see what adjustments coach makes. He was stellar in that department last postseason. By the way, I don't question that for a second here because I actually think there's a lot of truth to that. Lakers were fantastic at making adjustments. Actually, this is perfect. I asked LeBron. We got a chance on Friday, kind of a media session. Asked LeBron how he is game 1 more important than other games because it kind of sets the tone to a series. One of the main things LeBron said was game 1 he usually uses as kind of a feel-out game. Okay, what's this team going to do? What are their strengths? How are they scoring on us? What can we do better? Okay, now we got the film, right? We got the tape on Phoenix. I expect a ton of adjustments for the Lakers coming into game 2, and they're going to need to do that. Okay, let's read a couple more here. All right, James on YouTube. Allen, do you think LeBron needs to be more aggressive as well? My only thing on LBJ, and I don't have the answer to this, is only thing on LeBron, I think on purpose, he's probably not getting to the basket, not being super aggressive. He only took, I think, 13, 14 shots. I don't know. Is that the ankle thing? I don't have the answer to that, but that's the only thing I could think of, right? Or sometimes he's just trying to get other people going, but I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow LeBron's more aggressive as well, trying to get to the free throw line, just trying to put pressure on that Phoenix Suns defense. Lakers only put up 90 points, don't forget. I mean, that's literally nothing. Okay, Utah in the house. Thank you for tuning in. Omaha, Little Dallas, Italy. Everybody's throwing me off now. Bosnia, appreciate you tuning in. Wisconsin in the house. Redlands, California. Rochester, New York. New Zealand, Philippines. South River, New Jersey. Layton, Utah. This is so much easier doing roll call when I do this show. I actually have control of the chat. Holland, thank you for being a part of the show. Washington, D.C., Baltimore in the house. Corpus Christi, Texas in the house. Thank you for being a part of the show. Vegas in the house. Goose Creek, South Carolina. Iowa City. Sacramento, California. Rome, Italy in the house. Thank you for being a part of the show. Rome, New Zealand in the house. Keep going for days here. It just doesn't end. Third and Fairfax. It doesn't end. Literally doesn't end. Hong Kong, New Zealand, Illinois, San Francisco Bay Area. Appreciate you guys all being a part of the show. If I missed you, just kind of keep it coming, and I'll do my best to get you as the show rolls on. Virginia, California, Guyana, if I pronounce that right, Texas in the house, Gilbert, Arizona in the house. Appreciate you guys all being a part of the show. Holland, Mission Bay, San Diego, Mission Bay Park, San Diego. Thank you all for being a part of the show. Okay, I want to move on to the next topic here. So this is what we've basically got done so far. AD freaking win the big man challenge, and it's not just about game 2. It's about the rest of the series. I'm not overly concerned after that game 1 loss, and we'll kind of keep things flowing here. Role players' expectations. It's interesting here. I'll throw this out here. What Lakers role player are we not talking enough about? What Lakers role player are you expecting more from, game 2 and the rest of this series? I'll let you guys kind of, put your comments on here, and I'll read them as we go. But I'll say this for me. Let me kind of explain what I'm referring to. Because Anthony Davis was the topic yesterday, today, and tomorrow, a lot of players got to kind of stay under the radar. So it's easy to just talk about Anthony Davis, but there's also going to be other players that, we could have a part of the conversation. So that's why I'm throwing this out there specifically on the role players perspective. There's a number of players. I think Dennis Schroeder, since he went out with his health and safety protocols, has not been the same player. KCP missed some big-time threes for the Lakers and big-time shots, and he got 30-plus minutes. Caruso's really been the consistent one in these 2 games, consistent off the bench against the Warriors, and obviously impactful in this game against the Phoenix Suns. Kuzma didn't have a point, Laker fans. Kuzma didn't have 1 bucket. He was 0 for 2. But let me throw this on Kuz. Kuzma's kind of an interesting one for me because Kuzma is one of those players where it's so interesting. It's so fascinating. Kuzma at one point was one of those guys where you would say, Kuz, you got to, you can't take bad shots. You got to think of the flow of the offense. You got to think team first rather than I'm going to get mine. And now I think he's gone the other way. Now I think Kuzma is almost too unselfish. Kuzma's probably not taking enough shots. So there's a number of players that we could talk about. Coach did say today that, he's not going to kind of play his cards of what can happen tomorrow, what could be some of the adjustments, but we'll see if Marc Gasol gets some playing time, Montrez gets some more playing time. But let me read off some of your guys' comments here. Napa Valley in the house, thank you for tuning in. Jacksonville, Florida, Mount Vernon, Washington, Lake Forest, California. All right, somebody says, always missing me. I don't even know what that means. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Okay, so Luis Pascal says on Facebook, Marc Gasol. Kevin Angelis on YouTube says Ben McLemore. It's funny, on Ben McLemore, kind of shocking yesterday. 2 of my calls in the postgame show were Laker fans saying, throw in Ben McLemore. I wasn't expecting that coming into the playoffs. Jack Kinnett says Dennis Schroeder, expecting more from him. Rez on YouTube says THT, expecting more from Taylor Horton-Tucker. THT is actually a good one. That's a good one you could kind of throw into the mix there. Bhavin Patel on Facebook, Schroeder, he wants $100 million. Tell you what, I don't know if I don't know what Dennis Schroeder is going to get paid. I really don't. But I will say, kind of walking into the postseason, one of the points that I kept making was we're going to find out a lot about these players that are getting their first championship run with the Lakers. The 3 main players, Andre Drummond, Montrezl Harrell, and Dennis Schroeder. We'll see how these guys perform for the Lakers. That's when you're going to make your money. You're going to make your money in the postseason. Regular season's all good and dandy, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the postseason. Alexander Gonzalez on YouTube. Kuz and Trez. Got a lot of people throwing Kuzma in the mix here. Couple of Drummonds. John East is asking if Markieff Morris played. No, he didn't play. I think, this is going to come off of what somebody said earlier. Coach made really good adjustments last postseason. I don't expect tomorrow to look anything like game one. I don't. I think the rotations are going to be different. I think he'll experiment more. I think if somebody's not playing well, he'll be quicker to pull them and try something different. That's what I expect for tomorrow. Maybe I'm wrong, but I felt like that's what happened in last year's playoff run. See what else we got here. David Sabatini, why isn't Caruso starting? Don't pay too much attention to starters. At the end of the day, are they getting, Caruso should be getting equal minutes with any backcourt player with the Lakers. So KCP and Schroeder, if they get 30 minutes, Caruso should get 30 minutes. So, but don't pay too much attention to the starters. It's who finishes games and how many minutes do they play total. Carl Satterfield, Kuz can catch fire, true. But he's got to be more aggressive. I mean, at least, you almost want the coaching staff run a couple plays for him. See if he can get his jumper going and then kind of take it from there. Lakers, by the way, let me say this, have been so out of sync, for the last couple of weeks of the season. They've been so out of sync. And specifically the game against the Warriors, they were out of sync. And this game against Phoenix in game one, which, of course is concerning because these are the two, they're such important games. And for the Lakers kind of be this out of sync at this stage of the season, that's obviously not the most comfortable thing. Okay, let's see what else we got here, Laker fans. I'm going to actually kind of mix in rotations to what we were just talking about. So rotations is the next topic, but I'm not going to spend too much time on this because we're kind of already doing that right now. I do think the rotations are going to change starting tomorrow. I think, maybe we get a chance. I personally, I think Drummond is clogging up the middle, and I think that's not allowing Anthony Davis to kind of go to work because every time, we keep saying, well, why isn't AD down on the block more, and why isn't he getting more opportunities in the paint? I think having Drummond just sitting in the paint probably doesn't help him on that front, so maybe we're going to start seeing AD more at the 5, or maybe Gasol at the 5, because Gasol can at least kind of stretch the floor. Ayton's got to get out of the middle to go guard him. So let's kind of see what happens on that rotation front. And then the last thing that I'm going to just kind of say here from a rotation perspective, Lakers got to be, I think Coach will be quicker to say, this is working, it's not working. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to stay with what's working. What player is hot? What player is hitting his jumpers? What player isn't? So I think that's what you can expect in a game 2 after the Lakers kind of come back with all their adjustments. Okay. I'm going to move here to top NBA stories here. There's a couple NBA stories that I want to get into here, okay? And then I'll take some questions after that, and then we'll call it a day. So a couple of the NBA stories that I want to get into, obviously some of these other NBA games. What a weekend that was. And do we have a final yet on... Okay, so Nuggets are going to tie the series up. They're up 128-106 on the Blazers. Bucks just went up 2-0 on the Miami Heat. So first of all, let me tell you guys this. For top NBA stories, really, I just want to talk about the other games that have gone on. And I don't know if you guys know this about me. I'm a huge Dallas area fan. You can almost call me a Dallas native. I mean, that's how big of a Dallas person I am. Now, maybe I won't be a Dallas person in a couple weeks from now, but as of right now, this stage of my life, huge Dallas fan. All right, I'm basically a child that gets excited when the Clippers lose. That was the biggest shock of the weekend. I did not think that the Dallas Mavericks, to be honest with you, I didn't even think this would be much of a series. Dallas grabbed game 1 at Staples Center. Luka had a triple-double. Clippers were outscored 13-3 in the final couple of minutes to close out the game. Dallas won by 10 points. That's the biggest story for me over the weekend was Dallas stealing game 1 against the Clippers. Now, unfortunately, probably fortunately for you guys, unfortunately for me, tomorrow Lakers play at 7, Clippers Dallas play at 7:30. So, I can't watch both games, Laker fans. We got a Laker game. I got updates that I'm doing halftime, pregame, postgame. But you guys can sit at home, kick back, and go back and forth, do whatever you do. I thought the NBA's opening weekend was fantastic. And even though the Lakers lost in game 1, unfortunately, there were a lot of good games. The Memphis-Utah game, I know people are going to say, oh, well, that was a bigger shock than the Clippers. No, because Donovan Mitchell wasn't there. By the way, how about Donovan Mitchell coming out today and saying, what's my organization doing? I was ready to freaking play. Let me play. But I thought that was, obviously that was a good game yesterday. How about the Knicks and the Hawks? I was watching the Knicks-Hawks game and for some reason cheering for Trae Young and Collins and, I don't know, Bogdanovich and cheering for all these other guys on Atlanta. I don't know why I'm cheering for them, but I am. So a lot of good games in that opening weekend. 2 more games, obviously, today. 3 games, I think, are going on tomorrow. 3 games tomorrow? Yep, Celtics, Nets, Lakers, Suns, Mavericks, Clippers. NBA is just fantastic. I don't know what else to tell you. By the way, if you got questions, start throwing your questions in right now. Feel free to do that right now, and I'll read them here as we kind of come to a conclusion on the show. And then the last NBA story that I got is Jordan Clarkson winning 6th Man of the Year. So kind of cool, former Laker. I don't follow any of the former Lakers, but I got no hate towards their success, probably because the Lakers already won a championship. But Clarkson obviously having success. Randall getting freaking MVP chance in front of 15,000 fans at Madison Square Garden. Ingram, an all-star. So a lot of these guys having success, and the Lakers are having success. So everybody wins, but Clarkson wins 6th Man of the Year. Okay, let me go back to these comments here. Horrible NBA scheduling, no question about it. Sliwa, what about your Nuggets? That's a good question. They're not my Nuggets right now. They were my Nuggets last year. Clippers Nation. Are you sure Clippers Nation? I'd probably go Dallas. I'll go Mavs Nation. Mavs Nation, definitely. Who's this guy? Clippers Nation. What are you talking about? All right, let's see what else we got here. How is Game 1 branded as a feel-out game when it was winnable if AD played well? Laker fans, let me just say this real quick. A lot of ifs. Enough ifs. They lost. And if this happened, if that happened, but it didn't happen. So, and when I say feel-out game, I'm just basically referring to you lost the game, but now you know what the Suns are going to do. You kind of have one of the things that I think the Lakers have such an advantage over other teams. They could play 5 different styles. You want them to play a little bit more hard-nosed. You could throw in Markieff Morris. You want them to play big. They got Drummond and AD. You want AD to play 5. You want them to play fast. They could play so many different ways. Most of these other teams can only play one way. So it's up to the Lakers now to adjust. All right, see what else we got here. Will we see a change in the starting lineup tomorrow? I don't think so. I really don't, Laker fans. I think for the Lakers, it will be all about kind of the rotations, AD getting going early instead of being down by 7 or 8 points by the end of the first quarter. Maybe you have a 7-8 point lead and put Phoenix on their toes and make them have to be the ones that are starting to come back, feel some of the pressure and everything else. Let's see what else we got here. This is a good one. How do Lakers adjust if Phoenix starts swarming AD with traps or double teams? I can't stand. You guys remember back in the Shaq days this was always interesting to me. I know AD ain't Shaq, but let me just kind of explain my point. You throw down to Shaq, he gets double teamed. Shaq throws it back out. All Shaq would do is just keep repositioning. They throw it back to Shaq. And, obviously from there, Lakers would go to work. I hate when a double team comes. AD passes the ball out. By the way, AD is not also the best passer from the post. But I hate when AD will throw the ball back out and then he doesn't touch the ball again. Another way that the Lakers can combat that is AD plays the 5 or they put Marc Gasol at the 5 so that you can't really double team because you got too many shooters that you got to worry about. Okay, a couple more here and then we're calling it a day. Who wins tomorrow? I think Lakers win tomorrow. I don't just say that just to say it. I really believe they do. I think they are a championship enough quality team to correct their mistakes, come back tomorrow. Everyone's running their mouth on the Lakers, that they respond tomorrow in game 2. If I'm wrong, and if that doesn't happen, they're in some trouble. Maybe they're not a championship team, but we'll find out. I feel like we're going to find out a lot about the Lakers tomorrow. All the wait till we get to the playoffs. Lakers are going to do this. Oh, love the matchup against the Suns. We're going to find out a lot about this Lakers team tomorrow. Okay, final one. Last one here. Hurley Gonzalez. LeBron's got to be more aggressive. John Smith. James, I need you to drop 30 to 35. That'd be amazing. Phil 413, just play like freaking AD. Okay, final one here. Ron Munoz on Facebook. AD will be the difference. Has to get going early. No excuses time to rise up and produce. Ron, I couldn't agree with you more. And it is on Anthony Davis. You got to win that big man battle. And you got to, obviously be the player that we walk away with from not just tomorrow, but the rest of the series saying, there is no player that can match up with Anthony Davis or go toe-to-toe with him down low other than Jokic and Joel Embiid, not Ayton. And even those other players, they have, some limitations as well. So we'll see how things play out tomorrow. Appreciate you guys being a part of Lakers Talk on our social show. So a couple plugs here. 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., Travis and myself will do our show tomorrow morning. So more Laker reaction. Be a part of that. Keyshawn, J. Will, Zubin, and Travis will start at 5 a.m., so just a heads up there. And then tomorrow, pregame show, 5:30, tip-off at 7 o'clock. So, Lake fans, thank you for being a part of the show. Appreciate you guys being a part of Lakers Talk, and we'll get back with you guys tomorrow. Thank you.